Hi guys! So, I promised myself that I'll keep this to 5 minutes, so here it is. So, I've been thinking a lot about this story called, this phrase called good narratives and what makes a good story, what makes a good director, what makes a good actor, a writer. And I think it boils down to three main things. Firstly is emotion. You know, how are you able to convey emotions to people and what are you able to say to others that brings out that certain type of emotion in that story. For example, a character in a story may be looking this way, body facing this way, but then I'm talking to you. It shows that my attention is towards that person there and not you. So I think that's something that is very subtle but yet is so powerful when it's conveyed properly. And body language, is a very big thing in emotions. Secondly would be information, which is linked to emotions, because it's talking about what am I withholding and what am I saying out, or what am I revealing to other people. It can be in the form of a story, or like how a narrator reveals something about the character, or how the character expositionally, yeah, that's the word, say something to people. I think that's a very fundamental part of the human experience. Whenever I go out with my friends, or whenever I go out with my I guess people that I not really that close to, I will always withhold something and keep it close to my chest. Those very personal stuff that maybe I'm going through but don't really want people to know. So that's why I keep it close to my chest. I'm a pretty private person in that sense. But then there's some things that I'll project out and some things that I will tell people, which is mostly the outward appearance of what I want others to perceive me by. The outward sculpting of my character in that sense. And even though it may be true, whatever I'm revealing in information is true to people, it may not be what is really going on. And I think that's the most powerful part of stories and most powerful part of what stories can do, because it's so innate to the human experience of what we can relate to characters who are able to withhold and release information at the same time, wisely or unwisely if there's a cup of tea. So lastly is expectations. Expectation is a very interesting point, because what people expect is going to happen may not necessarily happen. Or what people expect is going to happen may very well happen, but subverted or overachieved, or maybe exactly to expectations. And a good story is able to guide the audience and guide the reader or film watcher or audience, yes, why did I say film watcher, yeah, towards a point that they want them to go. It's always about guiding the audience towards a specific destination that you have in mind, be it having them to think about an idea, or be it them taking away something from that story that is very personal or challenges their perspectives. Something like maybe a good crime novel, or a good perspective piece where it's like really challenging you to view it through the character of this person who you typically don't really care about. And I think that's the best part of expectations, because it may not be exactly what the audience feels like or knows what they're going into when they first approach a story, but definitely they'll know exactly what they have gotten out of it after the end of the story. And I think that's what makes a good narrative. Okay, why am I saying so much about narratives? Because one of my favorite narratives is definitely the Bible. There's the Bible. I think is made out of 70% narratives, where it's just stories after stories after stories. There's poetry, there's prophecy, there's statistics, numbers, all these kind of things inside the Bible, but mostly it's narratives and stories. And it's quite interesting to know that in the Christian faith, the God of the Christian faith reveals himself or reveals his character not through commands or decrees or laws or verbatim kind of like conversation with people, but rather through stories, and stories of particularly not exactly the brightest characters, and also not exactly the most sound characters of sound minds. But then he still reveals them, he still chooses them, and he still lets us go on this journey of understanding who these characters are and how he is transforming them and how they have been transformed by him. And I think that's a very amazing thing, because it tackles so many forms of the metaphysical stuff of reality. And I really truly believe that it's one of the best ways to answer the abstract questions is through narratives, because of stories of how humans have innately crave stories so much out of their lives, you know, whether it's through verbal dialogue or through written dialogue. And I really think that that is the best way to convey uh, something, to let you know something, is through a good narrative. And the Bible does it extremely well through emotions, where it brings out characters and it brings out emotions of the characters to you. Secondly, is through information, what the Bible knows at the end of the whole entire story versus what the Bible is giving to you at the start. And lastly will be expectations, how the Bible tries to play on your expectations and play on what you know or what you perceive in, and challenge that idea and challenge that notion and challenge that belief, challenge that cultural mindset. And I think once you look at the Bible through this lens, or once you look at the Bible through this perspective, you get a really interesting and enriching understanding of what God is trying to tell you, or what the Bible is really trying to say. Or maybe, you know, you just get a good story out of it at the end of the day, you know, if you don't take anything away from it. It's a good story with a good payoff. So yeah, good narratives. So that's all for today. I'll see you guys soon, and thanks for watching, guys. Bye.